In 2022, as we're all aware, the United States Supreme Court returned the issue of abortion to the American people. It said to the American people, you decide.
Welcome back to the Constitution Corner, where we stand for liberty, the Constitution, and the voice of the American people. If you believe in real democracy, the rule of law, and giving power back to the people, not judges, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell to never miss our deep dives on your freedoms.
Decide what's right for your state on abortion, either through referendum or through your elected state representatives. So for the first time in decades, pro-abortion and anti-abortion Americans are now able to meet on equal terms without judicial interference to determine the laws as they see them being best for them, governing the issue of abortion. No longer will Americans have to live under a court-imposed definition. The American people get to decide. Now, that has upset some of my colleagues here in Washington. It was and is the genesis of a very organized effort that you see playing out today to undermine the United States Supreme Court as an institution. I remember it like it was yesterday. My colleague and my friend, Senator Schumer, stood on the steps of the United States Supreme Court. And this is what he said. I quote, "I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, not Justice Gorsuch, not Justice Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind." He was talking about the Dobbs decision. "And you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions." End quote. Wow. Some people do not want any regulation of abortion. I get that. This is America. You can believe what you want. In fact, some of my colleagues have endorsed a bill. It's S-701. It's called the Women's Health Protection Act. This would allow the right to terminate a pregnancy after viability. Basically, terminate a pregnancy at any time for any reason. The day before a baby is born, a mother could decide to terminate that pregnancy for whatever reason. She doesn't have to give a reason. Maybe she's changed her mind about having a baby. Maybe she's not happy with the baby's gender. But it would be legal. I think every one of my Democratic colleagues on the Judiciary Committee has co-sponsored that legislation. I respectfully disagree with them. Last Congress, Senator Graham had what I thought was a very modest bill. It's called Protecting the Pain-Capable Unborn Children from Late-Term Abortions Act. I tell you what it would have done. It would have limited abortion to 15 weeks, except when necessary to save the mother's life or in cases of rape or incest. Now, we never voted on that bill, but I think most fair-minded people would call that fairly modest, middle-of-the-road approach, but it was blocked. The American people know how they feel. I can tell you that. And if we will allow them, they will make this decision for themselves. Most Americans, most fair-minded Americans, support reasonable regulation of abortion. Not unfettered discretion. Not using abortion for birth control. Reasonable regulation of abortion. I was looking recently at a recent poll from January. 6 in 10 Americans support limiting abortion to the first 3 months. Now, I don't know if that's the right answer or the wrong answer. It's not my place to say. The people of each state get to say. But I'm just telling you, in this credible poll, 6 in 10 say they support limiting abortion to the first 3 months. 6 out of 10 Americans oppose abortion because of a child's Down syndrome diagnosis. 86% of Americans oppose sex-selective abortions. You abort the child because you change your mind about your gender preference. I can't imagine that's not 100%, but 86% is still pretty high. We may hear a lot of rhetoric today about assault, particularly Republicans' assault on abortion and on women's health care. When you hear those words, I want you to substitute what those words really mean. That is that some of my colleagues want to tell the American people from on high exactly what the rules ought to be about abortion in America. And they're so angry at the United States Supreme Court for returning this issue to the American people that they're willing to destroy that court. Now, you don't have to be Mensa material to understand that is what this is all about. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Today we're unpacking a critical moment from the Senate, a powerful and reasoned defense of state sovereignty and the will of the people. This comes from Senator John Kennedy, and it's exactly what patriotism looks like. In 2022, the Supreme Court rightly returned the abortion issue to the American people. No more imposing one-size-fits-all federal mandate. Instead, each state gets to decide what's right through referendums or legislation. That's how democracy works. For the first time in decades, pro-life and pro-choice Americans can argue fairly in state legislatures, not under a court-imposed definition. That upset lawmakers in Washington, but Senator Kennedy zeroes in on a disturbing trend: coordinated efforts to undermine the Supreme Court itself simply for doing its job. He recalls Senate Minority Leader Schumer's chilling declaration on the court steps: "You have released the whirlwind, you will pay the price." That's a threat, and it's setting a dangerous precedent. Instead of accepting majority rule, some are pushing to punish the court for rebalancing power. Then Senator Kennedy highlights the Radical Women's Health Protection Act, S.71, which would allow abortion for any reason, even right before birth. That's extreme. No explanation necessary. Just full-term abortion at will. And you know what? All Senate Democrats on the Judiciary Committee support it. That's not common sense. That's abortion on demand. Contrast that with Senator Graham's moderate 15-week ban, with exceptions for the life of the mother, rape, or incest. The kind of compromise other countries embrace, blocked in Washington. But polls tell the truth. 60% of Americans support a first trimester limit. 60% oppose abortion for Down syndrome. 86% oppose sex-selective abortions. That's not fringe, that's mainstream America. Senator Kennedy reminds us that when you hear the phrase Republican assault on women's health care, translated, some lawmakers want to decide everything from Washington again. They're angry that the court returned power to the people, and they're even willing to dismantle the court to maintain control. This moment captures the heart of genuine republicanism: trusting the people, trusting states, and upholding democratic self-governance. As a right-wing patriot, I stand with Senator Kennedy and with the majority of Americans who support measured, state-led decisions on this emotional and nuanced issue. If you believe in local democracy, constitutional balance, and common sense regulation, not extremes, then you're with us. Let me know what your state is doing and where you stand in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching. Hit like, subscribe, and share this video with every American you know. Let's keep the conversation going, because America works best when we listen, debate, and decide together. We are the Constitution Corner, where Americans' root guides its future. Until next time, stand strong, speak truth, and may God bless the United States of America.